Everyone has moments in their life where they need help. Real help from a real person. A true human connection. Tell Me What Happened, an original podcast created by OnStar, is a new series that tells stories of those exact moments. Every episode features a person needing assistance and a stranger stepping up to provide it. They are stories that will leave your heart racing and your spirit lifted. Join me for Tell Me What Happened, true stories of people helping people.
A lot of us are looking for ways to start our day feeling more joy and appreciation. And while some of us write gratitude lists or do yoga, others pour themselves a bowl of their favorite cereal, Honey Nut Cheerios. Because not only are Honey Nut Cheerios delicious, they can help lower cholesterol as part of a heart-healthy diet. So maybe the secret to a great mood all day is a little yoga. Then writing your gratitude list over a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios. Learn more about a heart-healthy lifestyle at Cheerios.com.
Hey folks, welcome to the Adventure Sports Podcast. Today is actually no episode at all. We are going to take a break for President's Day, but part of the reason too we are taking a break is I recently did a big adventure which prevented me from working on the podcast over the weekend. Not a big adventure, actually. It was just a weekend trip, but it felt huge because it was a lot of people. It was like 15 people. And I want to kind of go through the story real quick because it was pretty entertaining. And we'll be back Monday with a brand new episode. But just to encourage you all out there, I want to tell you a few stories from our adventure. When we had a guest, Frazer Buntin, back on in like a year and a half ago, I can't remember the exact episode. I should have looked it up, but Frazer said that he and his friends, he's from Nashville, by the way, he wrote this script and kind of this plan of like every year they go and do an adventure, and they've been doing it for 15 years. He and like 12 other people, and they have extremely strict rules on how to do the trip. Like you get one email 6 months before the trip with the price, the details, how much time you need to take off. It's usually you got to take 3 to 4 days of work off, or 2 to 3, something like that. And you get, a week to respond with a yes or no and a deposit. And if you don't respond to make the deposit, you get pushed to the back of the line, like back of the waiting list. So there's this pressure to respond quickly and submit and to pay for it, because that guarantees your spot for that year, but also your spot for future trips, because they're amazing trips. So my friends and I got the idea after Frazer's episode, and you should totally, I'm going to try to link it in the show notes here because it's an awesome episode. Just gives you the framework on how to make adventures happen in your life, because one of the hardest things as an adult is actually taking the time to do stuff. How many times have we told each other or told friends or family, we should do something one day? Full disclosure, my neighbor and I have been talking about like metal detecting for like a year. It literally like down the road from our house. Yeah, we should go metal detecting on that beach down the road. And until we put a date to it, it's just not going to happen. And so seeing that problem and seeing that that's just how things work, Frazer and his friends said every year we are doing something no matter what. Doesn't matter if there's birthdays or graduations. If you can't make it, totally understandable. If you have a baby or something, or you're getting married, or there's a death in the family, but you're going to be pushed to the back of the waiting list, just so you know. So he claims it's only possible with those extremely strict rules, and it's been working for 15 years. So my friends and I decided to take that concept and pare it down away from once a year to one trip every 8 weeks. So, every other month, essentially, because once a quarter felt a little too infrequent, but once a month felt pretty busy with, how busy life is. To do anything once a month is a lot. But these trips are really short every 8 weeks. So we do essentially a 24-hour trip every 8 weeks. And we try to leave on Friday after work, drive somewhere where we can all kind of meet up and camp or start the adventure Friday night. And then we have until Saturday night to do that. And so, it does change. Sometimes we don't leave until Saturday morning. Then we have the full day Saturday and part of Sunday. We try to make it to where our spouses only have to put our kids to bed by themselves once. That's the goal. because that's kind of the hardest time for a lot of us parents, is getting the kids to bed, especially when there's more than one of them. So that's our goal, to make these like micro adventures close to home, but do them more frequently. And, there's usually one or two that's a little more ambitious per year, but we've been doing this a year and a half now. And this year, we recently did one over the weekend. So that's kind of why I'm actually not doing an episode today. But let me tell you about it. We decided to do an overnight paddle trip down a creek, actually a creek that went into a river that went across a couple lakes in Central Florida. And what was so cool about this adventure, I'm reflecting on it now, is the size of the group. It was 15 of us. Usually we invite a bunch of people, but nobody can go, for whatever reason. Maybe they don't have a bike if it's a bike packing trip, or they don't have a kayak, but we try to have a lot of extra stuff too, for people who might just be getting into the sport. So plenty of people have borrowed our bikes or borrowed a boat or something. But this particular trip, we invited everyone we could, and almost everyone said yes. So it was kind of crazy. And we had 15 people going down this little tiny creek, funny enough, near Orlando, Florida. And what was so cool about this trip was not the location, not the exoticness, if that's a word, but it absolutely 100% checked the boxes of everything I would ever want out of an adventure. Mishap, group dynamics, amazing conversations, beautiful sunrises and sunsets, rugged elements, totally unforeseen and unexpected circumstances and people and characters. And it was like a book, all wrapped up into this weekend. And it was just so cool to see that, after listening to so many amazing stories on this podcast, to see and hear just how amazing any experience can be if you decide to look at it that way. Like I'm not kidding, it was one of the coolest trips I've ever done. And it was right outside of Orlando, Florida, one of the most non-adventurous places you could probably imagine in the sense of true adventure. But holy cow, there were snakes and gators and fish and wild people and wilderness and albino animals. Like, we ran into so many things you would just never expect, and had so many misadventures and wrong turns and obstacles to overcome. It was amazing. And it was just a great reminder that no matter where you are in the world right now, no matter what you're doing, and no matter who's around you, adventure is right there. Adventure is abundant where you are, as it is, in the Alps or in the oceans or anywhere in the world. Any of these places that we hear about and talk about on this show, where you are right now is some amazing, exotic, life-changing place to somebody. Maybe not for the reasons you think or don't think your place would be, but when you mix in people and you mix in just the randomness of life and how amazing things can be, an hour from your home can feel like another planet. And that's what this past weekend felt like. I felt like I was a million miles from home the whole time. It was absolutely incredible. And it was just very reinvigorating to remember that if you're not in a stage of life where you can take some massive month-long or 3-month-long or 2-week-long trip even, adventure is right where you are. If you choose to see it that way, so many things are new. Go down a street that you've never been, maybe walk down a street that you've never been in your town. See something from an angle you've never seen it before, and I promise you'll begin to see that where you are and what you're doing and things that are close to you can be as life-changing and as impactful as traveling around the world to do something. And one of the benefits about doing adventures at home is, you can do them more frequently. Maybe it isn't, maybe once a year is a little too infrequent for you like it is for me. But once every 8 weeks is super doable. We're already planning the next one. So I'd love to invite everyone that listens to this show to these adventures, and I'd love to do more of them. I'm not sure I could do it more frequently than 8 weeks at a time right now, but I'll definitely keep everyone in the loop because the next one is going to be pretty cool. Probably another river trip, just because the element of water seems to equalize people. When you're on a bike, it can be extreme differences, variations in capabilities. But on a river, for some reason, it just seems to make everyone, equal, kind of levels the playing field. And it's an amazing element to have in any adventure, water, that is. So be listening out for that. I may or may not announce on the show. I might send it in the newsletter invitation for the next adventure. Because I'll be honest, we've done these for the last year and a half with like 3 people, me and my 2 friends, or me and a handful of people. But this with 15 was so amazing. And I think I like that more. So I would like to say the more the merrier going forward. So of course, respecting, the landscape. If the trip can only handle 5, then we'll do 5. But if it can handle 20, let's go for 20. All right. Well, enjoy President's Day if you're in the U.S. If you're not, we will be back on Thursday with another episode, and we'll be back on next Monday, with a brand new episode. So be listening, and I appreciate just taking the break to actually get out there and do an adventure. That's the trade-off. When you host the show, you don't always get to do adventures. So when you get the chance to do an adventure, that might mean not hosting the show for 1 week. So appreciate y'all letting me take the break and getting out there and actually creating stories for myself. All right. See you on Thursday.
At Kroger, we believe in higher standards for fresh. So we do up to a 27-point inspection on our produce. Like for oranges, we check for scarring and sunburn, allowing only the best produce to reach our shelves. Because when it comes to fresh for everyone, we believe the juice is worth the squeeze. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
And now you'll find more ways to save on your favorites. When you download digital coupons, you can use up to 5 times in one transaction. Kroger, fresh for everyone.